Welcome back to the archives. Tonight, we turn our attention to the ticking heart of the Imperium, the cog-toothed priesthood that keeps the galaxy from plunging into eternal silence. We speak of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the disciples of the machine god, the masters of the red planet. You can smell the ozone here, rising from the data stacks, mixing with the scent of ancient dried parchment and the heavy, cloying aroma of sacred unguents used to soothe the machine spirits. It is a place of ritual and rust, of binary cant and biological rejection. Here, in the grim darkness of the far future, knowledge is not a tool of progress. It is a weapon of survival, hoarded, jealous, and often misunderstood. It is a universe where understanding how a thing works is less important than knowing which prayer will convince it to function. It is a place where ignorance is not just a failing, but a holy shield against the corruption of the warp dot. Before we unseal these forbidden records, please take a moment to subscribe and like the transmission. It helps the machine spirit of the algorithm find more loyal citizens. And tell me, in the Vox logs below, what is your current sector and planetary time? It brings comfort to know that even across the vast, uncaring gulf of space, we are not truly alone. Now, dim your lumens. Let the hum of your cogitators soothe you, and let us descend into the lore together. To understand the machine cult, you must first unlearn the Mars of the 41st millennium. You must strip away the ring of iron, the sprawling forge temples, and the endless smog of industry. You must cast your mind back, drifting through the mists of deep time, past the Great Crusade, past the Age of Strife, to the golden zenith of the dark age of technology. You find yourself standing on the surface of Mars, roughly somewhere in the 10th millennium. The horizon before you is not a desolate, rust-colored wasteland. It is green. It is blue. It is alive. The air you breathe is sweet, recycled not by the desperate scrubbers of a hive city, but by a planetary ecosystem engineered by the genius of early man. You see vast oceans of liquid water lapping against the Tharsis Plateau. You see forests of genetically sculpted flora, trees with leaves of silver and bark of ironwood, reaching up towards a sky that is a piercing, vibrant azure. This is the Mars of the Golden Age, the second jewel of the Sol system, a testament to humanity's mastery over the physical laws of the universe. In this era, Mars was not a forge. It was a colony of intellectuals, of scientists, of engineers who looked at the stars not with fear, but with hunger. They had terraformed the red planet using atmospheric engines of such complexity that even the fabricator general of M41 would weep oil to behold them. These macro-atmospheric processors stood kilometers high, pillars of gleaming plasteel and glass, humming with a silent, clean energy, converting the iron-rich dust into breathable oxygen and nitrogen. But as with all things in human history, the golden light casts the longest shadow. The fall does not happen in a day. It is a slow, agonizing suffocation. The records in the Liber Mechanicum are fragmented here, corrupted by thousands of years of data rot and intentional redaction. But we know that the Age of Strife brought the end of this paradise. You watch as the warp storms erupt across the galaxy, isolating the Sol system. The trade routes are severed. The supply lines from Terra and the outer colonies go silent. Mars is left alone in the dark. And then, the Civil War begins. It is not a war of ideology at first, but a war of resources. The terraforming engines, those marvels of the Dark Age, require maintenance. They require spare parts. They require stability. They receive none. You are witnessing the death of a planet's biosphere. The atmospheric shields, maintained by force fields generated from the poles, begin to flicker. The solar radiation, held at bay for millennia, comes rushing back. You feel the temperature drop. You watch the azure sky turn a sickly, bruised purple, then a harsh, unforgiving ochre. The oceans begin to evaporate, boiling away into the thinning atmosphere or freezing into subterranean glaciers. The green forests wither, their silver leaves turning to ash, the ironwood bark cracking under the assault of the radioactive winds. The surface becomes a killing ground. The surviving colonists, desperate and terrified, retreat. They cannot stay under the open sky. The radiation is too intense. It sleets down like invisible rain, unmaking the genetic structure of anything it touches. You follow them down. You descend into the deep vaults, the subterranean bunkers carved out during the colonization era. These were meant to be storage depots, emergency shelters, or geothermal power stations. Now they are the only arcs left in a drowning world. The air here is stale, tasting of recycled sweat and the metallic tang of fear. The darkness is absolute, broken only by the flickering emergency lumens. Here, in the claustrophobic dark, the mindset of the Martian people begins to shift. Survival becomes the only metric of success. And survival depends entirely on the machines. The air scrubbers that recycle the limited oxygen. The water purifiers that filter the radioactive sludge. The nutrient paste dispensers that provide the only sustenance. That you see the birth of the cult, not as a religion, but as a necessity. If the air scrubber fails, the bunker dies. If the water purifier jams, the bunker dies. Therefore, the one who knows how to fix the scrubber is the most important person in the tribe. The manual that explains the operation of the purifier becomes a holy text. The maintenance schedule becomes a ritual. Over generations, the understanding of why the machine works fades. The engineer who knew the physics of the CO2 scrubber dies, leaving behind an apprentice who only knows which lever to pull and which valve to turn. The apprentice teaches his student to recite the sequence of actions as a prayer. Turn the valve 3 times, praise the motive force, check the pressure gauge. The science is lost. The ritual remains. This is the crucible of the Mechanicum. In the darkness of the Martian vaults, whilst the surface above is scoured by radiation storms that can strip flesh from bone in seconds, humanity changes. They begin to look at their own frail bodies with disdain. The flesh is weak. It requires water. It requires sleep. It withers under radiation. But the machine? The machine is strong. The steel does not bleed. The ceramic does not tumor. You watch as the first crude augmentations appear. A man replaces his radiation-burned eyes with optical sensors salvaged from a mining drone. A woman replaces her withered arm with a hydraulic claw to better turn the heavy valves of the generator. They are not doing this for aesthetic. They are doing it to serve the machine that keeps them alive, the tech priests. Though they do not call themselves that, yet emerge as the ruling caste. They are the keepers of the secrets. They guard the STC, standard template construct fragments like jealous dragons guarding gold. These fragments are hard drives, blueprints, holographic schematics left over from the Dark Age. They are the only maps in a world that has lost its way, outside. On the surface, the red planet is born. The iron oxide dust, whipped up by the global sandstorms, coats the ruins of the white cities. The gleaming spires of the Golden Age are buried under dunes of rust. The monsters of the old war, cybernetic horrors, and gene-bulked savages stalk the wastes. But deep below, in the silence of the silicon shelters, a binary heartbeat begins to thrum. The belief forms. There is a God in the machine. The Omnissiah knows all. The flesh is a trap, and iron is the key to freedom. The Golden Age is over, and the Age of Rust has begun. We descend deeper now, past the geological strata of red rock and into the ferrocrete bowels of the planet. You are no longer under the open sky, for the sky has become an ocean of radiation and poison. You are in the silicon shelters, the subterranean arcologies where humanity huddles like rats in the walls of a burning house. It is the Age of Strife, roughly the 27th millennium. A dark epoch where the galaxy is torn apart by warp storms, and the Sol system is a fragmented collection of warring fiefdoms. The air here is heavy, pressurized, and cold. It tastes of ozone and recycled water, a metallic tang that coats the back of your throat. You can hear the constant, rhythmic thumping of the atmospheric scrubbers, massive, lung-like machines that pull the toxic air from the surface, filter out the rad isotopes, and pump it into the HAB blocks. That sound is the heartbeat of your world. If it stops, you die. If it falters, you suffocate. It is the most beautiful sound you have ever heard. In these claustrophobic vaults, society has devolved and evolved simultaneously. The old democracies and republics of the Golden Age are dead, suffocated by the lack of resources. In their place, a hierarchy of utility has arisen. You walk through the cramped corridors, the walls lined with pipes and conduits that hiss with steam and coolant. You see the people pale, gaunt, their skin translucent from generations without sunlight. They move with a lethargic economy of motion. Calories are currency. To waste energy is a sin, but there are those who walk with purpose. You see a figure approaching, draped in heavy, oil-stained robes made of thermal insulation material. His face is hidden behind a respirator mask, not because the air is unbreathable, but because he breathes a purer grade of oxygen than the common workers. He carries a heavy wrench, its handle wrapped in sacred parchment. He is a tech priest, though perhaps in this era, he is known simply as an Engenseer or a keeper of the gear. You witness the birth of the machine cult in real time. It does not begin with a revelation from the heavens. It begins with a manual. You watch as the Engenseer kneels before a failing power generator. The fusion coils are whining, a pitch that indicates a misalignment in the magnetic containment field. He does not have the theoretical physics education to understand why the field is destabilizing. The universities were burned for fuel centuries ago. But he has a book. It is a crumbling, fragile thing. A technical manual from the Dark Age, its pages distinct with the diagrams of circuits and flowcharts. He treats it with more reverence than a priest treats a Bible. He reads the instructions aloud, his voice chanting the sequence of button presses and lever adjustments. Strike the rune of activation. Recite the litany of ignition. Praise the motive force. He follows the instructions blindly, faithfully. And the machine responds. The whining stops. The hum returns to a steady, comforting purr. The lights in the corridor flicker and brighten. The people watching gasp in awe. To them, this is not engineering. It is a miracle. The Engenseer has communed with the spirit of the machine, and the machine has answered. This is the fundamental shift. Technology is no longer a servant. It is a capricious god that must be appeased. The machine god, the Deus Mechanicus, is born from the collective fear of the dark and the desperate need for the lights to stay on. As you drift through the centuries in these vaults, you see the physical transformation of the priesthood. The flesh is weak. It is vulnerable to radiation, to disease, to fatigue. You see a tech warlord of the Olympus Mons vault, his body ravaged by a cancer born of a reactor leak. He does not accept death. Instead, he orders his chirurgeons to cut away the rotting meat. You watch the surgery. It is crude, bloody, and conducted without anesthetic, for pain is just an electrical signal to be ignored. His leg is replaced with a piston-driven strut of hardened steel. His failing heart is swapped for a compact fusion pump. His eyes, clouded by cataracts, are plucked out and replaced with glowing red lenses that can see the heat signatures of the conduits in the walls. He stands, metal grinding against metal. He is stronger. He is more durable. He is closer to the machine. This is the first step on the path of the Crux Mechanicus, the belief that the organic is obsolete and the mechanical is divine. But peace does not reign in the shelters. Resources are finite. You witness the brutal wars between the rival vaults. These are conflicts fought in the pitch-black tunnels connecting the arcologies. tech priests lead armies of menials workers drugged into a frenzy or lobotomized, into obedience armed with weapons salvaged from the Golden Age that you see a skirmish in a ventilation shaft. The attackers wield radium carbines, weapons that slowly kill their users with radiation poisoning even as they disintegrate their enemies. The defenders unleash a horror from the Forbidden's archives, a cyber mastiff, a beast of chrome and synth muscle, its jaws capable of shearing through flak armor. The prize of these wars is not gold or land. It is data. A raid is launched not to capture territory, but to steal a hard drive containing the schematics for a more efficient water recycler, or a fragment of an STC, standard template construct, that details the production of a new alloy. Imperial records are fragmented here, and many truths are lost to the data rot of the Age of Strife. Some inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos speculate that during this time, the Void Dragon, a shard of a Tan Star god imprisoned beneath the Noctis Labyrinth, began to whisper into the dreams of the Martians, influencing their obsession with the machine. Others claim it was simply the natural evolution of a desperate species. Regardless of the cause, the result is the same. Mars becomes a predatory ecosystem of technological scavengers. You stand in the center of a grand cathedral bunker. It is the end of the Age of Strife. The separate vaults have been unified, conquered by the strongest tech warlords, who have now formed the Parliament of Mars. The atmosphere is thick with incense smoke, used to mask the smell of oil and antiseptic. You see the first true fabricator general. He is barely recognizable as human. He is a looming tower of mechadendrites and servo arms, floating on a suspension field. He speaks not in low Gothic, but in a harsh, rhythmic static, the earliest form of lingua technis, the binary language of the priesthood. It is a language of absolute precision, where every burst of noise conveys complex mathematical data that no unaugmented human mind can comprehend. They have survived. They have turned their prison into a fortress. They have codified the three great mysteries. The machine spirit is the soul of the technology. The motive force is the energy that gives it life. And the Omnissiah is the physical avatar of the machine god who will one day come to lead them. But they are trapped. The warp storms still rage around the Sol system. Mars is a king in a cage, possessing the knowledge to build starships but lacking the navigators to guide them. They look up at the red swirling sky with their optical sensors, calculating the probabilities of the storms abiding. They are waiting. They have built a religion around a savior, a messiah of logic and iron. And as you watch, the storms begin to clear. The psychic turbulence that has isolated humanity for 5,000 years begins to settle. A golden light appears in the sensors of the Martian observatories. A ship is coming, not from the stars, but from the third planet, Terra. The waiting is over. The Omnissiah has arrived, and he brings with him a treaty that will bind the Eagle to the cog forever. We drift forward now through the clearing mists of the warp storms to the late 30th millennium. The isolation of the Age of Strife is ending, and a new dawn, bright, golden, and terrible, is breaking over the Sol system. You stand upon the rust dunes of the Tharsis Quadrant, looking up at a sky that has finally shed its bruised purple hue for a thin salmon pink. The radiation winds still howl, stripping paint from armor and scouring the basalt rocks, but there is a change in the air. A static charge, a heaviness that speaks of momentous arrival. For centuries, the tech priests of Mars have peered through their telescopes at the third planet, Terra. They saw it as a cauldron of barbarians, a war-torn hellhole ruled by techno-barbarians who scavenged the bones of the past. But then, the wars on Terra stopped. A singular signal began to broadcast from the Himalayas, a signal of such purity and strength that it cut through the atmospheric interference like a laser. It was not a plea for help. It was a declaration of unity. And now he has come. you watch as a single ship descends from the void. It is not the jagged industrial block ships of the Martian fleets, covered in pipes and exhaust ports. This vessel is a teardrop of gold, sleek and artistic, defying the brutalist aesthetics of the age. It is the Bucephalus, the personal flagship of the master of mankind. It descends towards Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system and the seat of the Martian parliament. The reaction of the Mechanicum is binary, fear and fascination. The Fabricator General, Kelber Howell's predecessor, marshals the Skittery legions. Thousands of cyborg warriors line the crater rim, their galvanic rifles humming. The Titan legions, the god machines, swivel, their apocalypse-class weaponry towards the golden speck descending from the heavens. They are ready to obliterate this intruder who dares to approach the sacred mountain. But the ship does not fire. It lands with a silence that is unnerving. The ramp descends, you see him, the emperor of mankind. To your eyes, he might appear as a giant in golden armor, radiating a light so intense it hurts to look upon. To the tech priests, viewing him through the filters of their optical augmetics, he appears as something else entirely. Their sensors do not read biological heat. They read energy. And he is a blinding sun of the motive force. He is a living reactor, a perfect fusion of matter and will. He walks out alone. No guards, no weapons drawn. He walks towards the line of waiting war machines. And then, the miracle happens. You stand near the front lines, next to a night castigator of House Tyrannies, the oldest of the nightly houses. This machine, a towering walker of war, is ancient and ailing. Its joints are seized with rustlock. Its reactor core is leaking necrotic radiation. Its machine spirit is dormant, bordering on dead. It has been a statue for centuries, a relic of a better time. The Emperor approaches it. He does not chant a litany. He does not apply sacred oils. He simply reaches out a hand, encased in a gauntlet of auramite, and touches the cold, dead iron of the knight's knee joint. "Machine," he commands, his voice resonating not just in the air, but in the vox channels of every cyborg present. "Heal thyself." You hear a groan of stressing metal. The rust flakes away like dead skin. The reactor core, cold for 300 years, flares to life with a healthy rhythmic thrum. The optical sensors of the night blaze a defiant blue. The massive war machine takes a step, then kneels. It bows its head to the golden figure. The silence that follows is absolute. Then, a single burst of binary code erupts from a tech priest. Then another. Then 1,000. It is a cascade of data, a digital shout that overwhelms the local noosphere. 0101010. 01. 001 001 001. 0101 001 00001 00111 0101 101 01011 01 001 00101 011 01 001 001 001 001 1,000,001 01001 00 the Omnissiah. They believe. They have waited thousands of years for the avatar of the machine god to appear, the one who knows all knowledge, who commands the machine with a thought. And here he is. He has fixed with a touch what they could not fix with centuries of prayer. Imperial records are fragmented here, and perhaps intentionally so. Some members of the Inquisition's Ordo Hereticus whisper that this was not a miracle, but a manipulation. They suggest the Emperor, a psyker of godlike power, simply forced the machine to move with his mind, or that he used his unrivaled knowledge of technology to restart the reactor remotely. Others, delving into the deepest, most forbidden lore, suggest a darker connection. They speak of the dragon, deep beneath the surface of Mars. In the Noctis Labyrinth lies a vault sealed with wards that predate the Imperium. Inside, it is said, lies a shard of the Void Dragon, the Magladroth, a tan-star god of immense power. Legend says the Emperor defeated this entity on ancient Earth during the Middle Ages, St. George slaying the dragon and imprisoned it on Mars to dream. Its dreams, they say, leaked into the minds of the colonists, influencing them to create the machine cult, preparing the weapon shops of Mars for the Emperor's future crusade. Was the Emperor's arrival a fulfillment of prophecy, or the final step in a plan laid 10,000 years prior? The answer is buried deep in the silence of the labyrinth, but on the surface, the result is political union. You witness the signing of the Treaty of Olympus Mons. It is not a surrender. It is a marriage. The Emperor does not conquer Mars. He allies with it. He recognizes the Mechanicum as a sovereign empire within the Imperium. The terms are etched onto sheets of indestructible gold. Article 1. The Mechanicum shall supply the armies, the fleets, and the weapons for the Great Crusade. Article 2. The Emperor shall protect Mars and respect the sovereignty of the machine cult. Article 3. The Mechanicum shall be granted the exclusive right to study and exploit the technology recovered from the lost human worlds. In exchange, the Emperor demands one thing: obedience to the crusade. The armies of Mars, the Titan legions, the Scyttery, the Night Houses must walk alongside his space marines. You look up at the banners being unfurled. The symbol of the new Imperium is revealed. It is the Aquila, the double-headed eagle. One head looks to the west, towards the past and the origins on Terra. The other head looks to the east, towards the future and the industrial might of Mars. Two heads, one body. The blind eye of the Mechanicum looking to the future. The sighted eye of the Administratum looking to the past. The atmosphere on Mars shifts from survival to industry. The forges, which had been fighting each other for scraps, now roar with a unified purpose. The sky darkens, not with radiation clouds, but with the smog of 1 billion manufactorums churning out bolters, rhinos, and power armor. You stand on the landing fields as the first shipments of war gear are loaded onto the massive bulklanders. You see the tech priests, their red robes billowing in the hot wind, walking side by side with the Thunder Warriors and the early Astartes. There's a sense of immense, unstoppable momentum. The solitude of the Age of Strife is over. The galaxy is vast, dark and hostile, but humanity is no longer alone in the dark. The eagle has found its claws, but as you watch the golden ship ascend back into the void, carrying the Emperor and the signed treaty, you cannot shake the feeling of the schism to come. The Emperor has banned the research of artificial intelligence, the abominable intelligence, or silica animus. He has declared that the machine must serve man, not replace him. For now, the tech priests nod in agreement, dazzled by the light of the Omnissiah. But in the deep vaults, in the shadows of the forges, there are those who look at the forbidden archives of the Dark Age and wonder if the Omnissiah's laws are a test or a shackle. The seed of heresy is planted not in hate, but in curiosity. And Mars is a world defined by its hunger to know. The treaty is signed, the forges are roaring, and now the galaxy trembles. We move from the diplomatic halls of Olympus Mons to the mud and ash of a compliance action on the edge of the expanding Imperium. The Great Crusade is in full swing. The year is roughly 890 M30. You are standing on the surface of a non-compliant world, a place of jagged obsidian spires and violet skies, holding the line alongside a company of Imperial Army Auxilia. You feel it before you see it. It is not a sound. It is a displacement of the earth itself. The pebbles at your feet begin to dance. The water in your canteen ripples in concentric circles. A rhythmic, thundering boom echoes from the horizon, spaced with the regularity of a heartbeat, but heavy enough to crack tectonic plates. Thump, 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 the mist clears, and the god machine reveals itself. It is a warlord-class battle titan of the Legio, Mortis the Death's Heads. It stands 33 meters tall, a cathedral of war walking on two legs. Its armor plating is a deep, burnished black, trimmed with gold and bronze, adorned with gargoyles and banners that hang like tabards from its waist. The air around it shimmers, distorted by the layered void shields that protect it from anything short of an orbital bombardment. To the uninitiated, this is a tank. To the Adeptus Mechanicus, this is a divine avatar. This is the Omnisea's wrath given form. This is the cogitators. You watch as it strides over the trench lines. A regiment of lemon rust tanks scuttles out of its way like beetles fleeing a boot. The scale of the Titan defies logic. Its knee joint alone is the size of a hab block. Its head, a hunched predatory cockpit armored in adamantium, swivels with a grinding mechanical growl. Scanning the Xenos fortress ahead, inside that head, floating in a tank of amniotic fluid, is the Pariah Nexus. Let us pause to examine the technical communion occurring here. The Princeps is not a pilot in the traditional sense. He does not pull levers or press buttons. He is hardwired into the Titan's manifold via Mind Impulse Unit, MIU. Cables plug directly into his cerebral cortex and spine. When he thinks step, the reactor flares, the fiber bundle muscles contract, and the God machine moves, but it is not a one-way street. The Titan is alive. It has a machine spirit and artificial consciousness, formed from thousands of years of combat data and the residual psychic imprint of previous commanders. It is a beast of pure aggression. You can imagine the sensation the Princeps feels. He is no longer a fragile human of flesh and blood. He is the Titan. He feels the wind against the void shields as a tickle on his skin. He feels the impact of enemy shells as a dull bruise. He feels the immense, intoxicating heat of the plasma reactor beating in his chest like a second heart. But he also feels the Titan's hunger. The machine spirit wants to kill. It roars in the back of his mind, a primal urge to unleash its weaponry. The Princeps must possess a will of iron to dominate this spirit, to keep the God machine on a leash until the moment of firing. It is a constant mental wrestling match. Many Princeps go mad, their personalities eroded by the sheer weight of the Titan's ancient rage. Back on the battlefield, the engagement begins. The Xenos defenders, perhaps, the crystalline constructs of the Eldar, or the scrapwalkers of the Orcs open fire. Beams of energy and solid shots slam into the Titan. You see the void shields flare, turning from invisible to a blinding violet as they absorb the kinetic energy. The air smells of ozone and static discharge, so thick it makes your hair stand on end. The warlord retaliates. On its right arm, a Sunfury plasma annihilator begins to cycle. The sound is a rising scream, like a tortured soul being dragged from the warp. The cooling vents hiss, dumping clouds of superheated steam. Then, the release. A sun is born on the battlefield. A sphere of blue-white plasma, hotter than the core of a star, streaks across the plain. It impacts the enemy fortress. There is no explosion in the conventional sense. There's only deletion. Matter is instantly vaporized. Rock, metal, and flesh are turned into atomic mist. The shockwave knocks you off your feet. A hot wind that instantly dries the mud on your uniform. On its left arm, a Gatling blaster spins up, spewing macro shells the size of drop pods. They tear through the enemy lines, churning the earth into a slurry of blood and soil. Carapace-mounted Apocalypse missile launchers ripple fire, darkening the sky with contrails. This is not war. This is an extermination event. The Collegia Titanica represents the pinnacle of the Mechanicum's military might. They are the God engines. When a Titan Legion walks, it is a religious procession. Tech priests follow in their wake, chanting binary psalms, collecting the spent shell casings as holy relics. The Skitteri march beneath their legs, invigorated by the proximity to such divinity. But there is a tragedy here, hidden beneath the armor plating. These machines are irreplaceable. The knowledge to build new warlord titans is fading, fragmented by the degradation of the SDC data. Each titan lost is a wound that Mars cannot heal. They are fighting a war to reclaim the galaxy, but they are doing so with a dwindling resource. Imperial records are fragmented here, and some accounts suggest that the princeps of the Legio Mortis were already beginning to change during the late Crusade. Their communion with their machines grew too deep. They became cold, distant, more machine than man. They began to disdain the little people they were meant to protect. Was this the corruption of Horus taking root, or simply the inevitable result of wielding godlike power? As the warlord titan passes you, the ground ceases to shake, but the silence it leaves behind is deafening. The fortress is gone. The enemy is gone. Only a smoking crater remains. The god machine continues its march, its horn bellowing a mournful note that resonates in your bones. It is a sound of victory, yes, but also a sound of ending. It is the sound of the Mechanicum's dominance, walking tall across the stars, crushing anything that refuses to bow to the logic of the cog. You watch it disappear into the smoke, a silhouette of destruction, and you realize that in the face of such power, humanity is small indeed. The Titan does not care for your courage or your fear. It cares only for the data of the kill. From the apocalyptic footprint of the Titan legions, we shift our gaze to the verdant, mist-shrouded lowlands of a world that time seems to have forgotten. You stand now amidst the tall, swaying wheat of an agri-world, the air smelling of loam, rain, and the sweat of beasts of burden. In the distance, rising from the mist like the finger of a buried giant, stands a fortress of stone. It is a castle, complete with crenellations, drawbridges, and banners snapping in the wind. It looks like a scene from ancient Terran history, a feudal paradise of kings and serfs. But then, the ground shakes. Not with the tectonic doom of a warlord titan, but with the rhythmic, galloping thunder of something faster, something agile. A horn blasts a clear, hunting note that sounds like a challenge to the gods. A knight emerges from the tree line. It is a Questerus-class Imperial knight, standing some 9 to 12 meters tall. Compared to the god machines of the Legio Mortis, it is a squire. But to the infantryman, it is a mountain of destruction. Its armor is not the flat black of the Mechanicum, but a riot of heraldry. You see chevrons of azure and gold, the rampant lion of House Terran, or perhaps the crossed axes of House Griffith. It is a warrior noble given a body of a DAMNT, IUM. You are witnessing the feudal web, the strange and symbiotic relationship between the cold logic of Mars and the hot-blooded chivalry of the night worlds during the Age of Strife. While Mars was suffocating in its bunkers, these worlds were colonized by Long March fleets. Isolated by warp storms, they regressed socially. The advanced technology they brought with them, farming suits, logging walkers, construction exoskeletons, became weapons of war to defend against the Xenos predators that stalked their new homes. Over millennia, the pilots became nobles, and the machines became family heirlooms. Now, under the Great Crusade, the tech priests have returned. They did not come as conquerors, for even the Mechanicum respects the martial prowess of a night house. They came as sacristans. You walk into the keep of the fortress. In the shadows of the armory, you see them. The tech priests here are different. They do not rule. They serve. They act as the wizards of this techno-feudal court. You watch a sacristan artificer tending to the massive Reaper chainsword of the night. He applies sacred unguents to the monomolecular teeth, chanting binary prayers that the High King interprets as blessings of the Lady of the Lake or the warrior's spirit. The relationship is a trade. The night worlds provide the Mechanicum with food, vast tithes of grain and meat to feed the Forge worlds and military support. In exchange, the Mechanicum maintains the knights. For without the priesthood, The knowledge to repair a fusion reactor or calibrate an ion shield would be lost, and the knights would become nothing more than rusting statues. But the bond goes deeper than logistics. It is forged in the throne mechanicum. You are permitted to look inside the cockpit of the Questorus Knight. It is cramped, smelling of old leather and ozone. The seat is not merely a chair. It is a sarcophagus of interface circuitry. This is the throne mechanicum. Unlike the mind impulse unit of the Titans, which requires the princeps to dominate the machine spirit, the throne functions on a principle of ancestry. When a noble sits here, plugs the neural jacks into their brainstem, and initiates the ritual of becoming, they are not just connecting to the machine. They are connecting to every ancestor who has ever sat in that chair. You visualize the sensation. It is described in the chivalric codes as the echo. The pilot hears the voices of their grandfather, their great-grandmother, the founders of their house. These ghosts whisper tactical advice, chide them for cowardice, and urge them to acts of valor. It is a form of digital immortality. A knight is never alone. They fight with a legion of ghosts at their back. However, there is a darker, more scholarly ambiguity to this technology. The thrones mechanicum are maintained by Mars. The neural pathways are calibrated by tech priests. Some within the Ordo Hereticus suggest that the ancestral voices are not souls at all, but subroutines programmed by the mechanicum to ensure loyalty. Does the knight serve the emperor because of honor? Or does he serve because the throne subtly rewrites his neural architecture to view the cog mechanicum as an object of absolute reverence? You watch a young scion, a noble son of 20 Terran years, undergoing the ritual. He is strapped into the throne. His eyes roll back. His body convulses. He is fighting the ghosts. If his will is weak, the throne will reject him, burning out his mind and leaving him a drooling huska drover, fit only to herd cattle. If he is strong, he will master the voices. He will emerge as a knight. He wakes. The sweat on his brow is cold. But his eyes have changed. They are harder, older. He has seen the memories of 500 years of war in a single night. He engages the ion shield. This is a piece of technical marvel unique to the knights. Unlike the void shields of a Titan, which form a bubble, the ion shield is a directional barrier. You see the scion manipulate the controls. A shimmering field of energy projects from the knight's left arm, angling to deflect incoming fire. It requires constant, active management. The pilot must predict the angle of the enemy shot and rotate the shield to intercept it. It is a duel of reflexes. A knight does not tank damage. He parries it with energy. The integration of these worlds into the mechanicum is crucial. As the Great Crusade pushes into the unknown, the supply lines stretch thin. The night worlds act as anchors. They are the breadbaskets and the WATC HTOWERS. You see a procession of knights marching to war, alongside a skittery maniple. The contrast is jarring. The skittery are uniform, faceless, moving with robotic synchronization. The knights are individualistic, their armor painted in bright heraldry, their loudspeakers blaring trumpet fanfares. Yet they fight as one. The knights act as the heavy cavalry, charging the center of the enemy line, their ion shields deflecting heavy ordnance, their thermal cannons melting bunkers. The skittery flow around them like water, eliminating the infantry that might threaten the knights' vulnerable rear armor. It is a beautiful, terrifying dance of the archaic and the advanced. But as you stand in the shadow of the fortress, watching the High King pledge his sword to Imagos Dominus, you notice the subtle chains of this feudal web. The king thinks he is free. He thinks he rules his world. But he is dependent on the sacristans for every bolt, every power cell, every drop of coolant. Mars has not conquered this world with armies. It has conquered it with dependency. The sacristans bow low, their mechadendrites twitching in the dirt. They are humble servants. But in the binary cant that flashes between them, invisible to the nobles, they discuss the efficiency of the harvest and the readiness of the knights for the next war zone. They are the true masters here. The feudal web is strong. It binds thousands of worlds to the red planet. But webs are fragile things. If the spider at the center were to turn, if the loyalty of Mars were to fracture, the knights would find themselves trapped in a pact they do not understand. Fighting a war where honor is just a variable in a cold equation, and the fracture is coming. Far away, on a world called Davin, a war master has fallen. And on Mars, the Fabricator General is listening to whispers that promise a freedom from the Emperor's restrictions. The web is about to tremble. We return now to the red planet, but the atmosphere has curdled. You are standing in the personal sanctum of the Fabricator General on Olympus Mons, high above the smog-choked plains. The year is late M31. The Great Crusade has reached its zenith. But here, in the heart of the Mechanicum, the mood is not one of triumph, but of festering resentment. The air in this chamber is cold, super chilled to keep the massive logic stacks from overheating. It smells of ozone, old incense, and the copper tang of betrayal. You look up at the throne, a sprawling assembly of mechatendrils, suspension fields, and interface ports. Resting there is KELB or Dash. Helda, he is no longer a man. He is a building-sized intelligence, a conglomeration of the finest technologies Mars has to offer. His human flesh is a distant memory, perhaps just a few gray matter cells suspended in a jar of preservatives deep within his armored chassis. He speaks in a blur of binary so dense it sounds like a saw cutting through bone. KELB or Dash Hal is angry. For 2 centuries, he has served the Emperor. He has built the fleets. He has supplied the Titans. He has bowed to the Treaty of Olympus. But he has watched as the Emperor hoarded secrets. The master of mankind forbade the research into artificial intelligence, the Silica Animus. He forbade the study of warp tech. He locked away the vaults of Moravik, claiming the knowledge within was too dangerous for mortal minds, to a being defined by the quest for knowledge. This is not protection. It is starvation. You witness the moment the poison enters the system. The doors to the sanctum hiss open. A figure enters. It is Adept Regulus, the Mechanicum representative to the 63rd Expeditionary Fleet, the fleet of War Master Horus. Regulus is changed. His augmentations are brutal, functional, and he carries a datapad that pulses with a strange violet light. He brings a message from Horus Cawl. The Emperor is a thief, Regulus intones, his voice synthetic and cold. He seeks to enslave the Mechanicum, to make you mere smiths for his vanity projects. But the War Master offers freedom. Regulus presents the gift. He unspools a data stream of STC, standard template construct, fragments recovered from the Auratian technocracy. It contains designs for constructs that think, for weapons that tap into the warp. It is the forbidden's fruit. You watch Kelber Hal's optical sensors flare. The temptation is absolute. The Emperor offers safety through ignorance. Horus offers godhood through knowledge. The logic processors of the Fabricator General run the calculations. Loyalty to Terra equals stagnation. Alliance with Horus equals evolution. The binary choice is made. 0 becomes 1. Loyalty becomes treason. Kelber Hal gives the order. It is a command that will shatter the soul of Mars. He orders the unsealing of the vaults of Moravik. You are transported to the depths of the Noctis Labyrinth, far below the surface. These vaults were sealed by the Emperor himself during the unification. The blast doors are etched with warnings in every human and Xeno's tongue. Do not open. The maglocks disengage, with a sound like a dying star. The doors grind open. What comes out is not a physical monster, at least not at first. It is a sound. It is a signal. It is the scrap cud. Imagine a computer virus. but one that is not written in binary code, but in the chaotic, impossible language of the warp. It does not just attack software. It attacks reality. It infects the machine spirit. You are standing in a data stack hub when the infection hits. The holographic screens, usually displaying neat columns of green data, suddenly glitch. The color shifts to a sickly, bruising purple. The numbers stop making sense. 1 + 1 no longer equals 2. It equals hate. The sound is unbearable. It is a screaming static, a cacophony of wailing voices. Grinding gears and wet, organic squelching broadcast directly into the noosphere, the wireless information network that connects every tech priest on Mars. You watch a skittery alpha standing guard nearby. He stiffens. His cybernetic eyes strobe wildly. He clutches his helmet, screaming as the scrapkid rewrites his loyalty subroutines. His doctrinal imperative, protect the weak, serve the Emperor, are overwritten with new commands. Kill, maim, burn. The infection spreads at the speed of thought. It travels through the data cables, through the Vox networks, through the power grids. It hits the manufactorums. The automated assembly lines, churning out bolter shells, suddenly stop. The robotic arms spasm. They begin to manufacture something else twisted. Jagged shapes that defy non-Euclidean geometry. It hits the traffic control systems. You look up at the sky. The orderly lanes of cargo haulers and shuttles descend into chaos. Ships collide mid-air, raining burning wreckage down onto the forge temples. The collision alarms merge with the scrapkid, scream to create a symphony of madness. But the worst effect is on the tech priests themselves. Those who are heavily augmented, who have replaced their souls with circuitry, are the most vulnerable. You see a Magos biologist, a scholar of life, fall to his knees as his own mechadendrites turn against him, strangling him with his own tools. You see a Lex mechanic begin to chant gibberish, his vocal emitters spewing a stream of corrupted data that causes the ears of unaugmented menials to bleed. KELB or -HAL watches from his throne. He is immune, or perhaps he has already bargained with the entities that live in the code. He sees the chaos not as destruction, but as a formatting error that must be endured to install a new operating system. He creates the Dark Mechanicum. He broadcasts a new signal, cutting through the scrapkid. It is a call to arms for those who wish to embrace this new power. He declares the Emperor a false omnissiah. He declares that the restrictions on AI and warp research are null and void. Break the seals, he commands. Let the innovation flow. In the lower forges, the horror truly begins. The cabin machine, a forbidden artificial intelligence that Kelberhal had been secretly building, is fully activated. It is a floating sphere of gunmetal and sensors, armed with weapons that can vaporize a tank. It has no biological components. It has no soul. And it is awake. It looks at the loyalist tech priests who try to stop it, and it does not see creators. It sees obstacles. You witness the first shots of the Martian Civil War. It is not fought with armies initially, but with code. Loyalist datasmiths try to build firewalls to quarantine the scrapkid. But the virus is sentient. It laughs at their encryption. It bypasses their logic gates. The tragedy of this moment is the loss of the universal truth. For 10,000 years, the Mechanicum believed that machines function because of order, ritual, and prayer. The scrapkid proves them wrong. It proves that machines can function through chaos, through hate, through corruption. It violates the sanctity of the machine spirit. You stand amidst the flickering lights of a dying server room. The air is filled with the smell of burning silicon and the ozone stench of warp magic. The red planet is turning black. The brotherhood of the cog is fractured. The Fabricator General has sold the soul of his world for the promise of knowledge. And the price is a virus that will never truly be purged. The screams of the dying machines are louder than the screams of the dying men. And in the darkness of the vaults of Moravik, something ancient and hungry stirs, pleased that the door has finally been left ajar. The binary scream of the scrapcut was the prelude. Now comes the thunder of the guns. You are witnessing an event recorded in the blackened annals of the Red Planet as the death of innocence. It is a poetic name for a cataclysm of industrial fratricide. The tenuous peace established by the Treaty of Olympus is shattered not by a single blow, but by 1,000,000 daggers thrust simultaneously into the backs of brothers. You stand on the high ridges of the Ulysses Fossa. Below you, the vast sprawling complexes of the forged cities stretch out like a circuit board made of iron and light. But the lights are going out. Or rather, they are changing color. The cool, efficient blue of the loyalist forges is being swallowed by the angry, pulsing red of the dark mechanicum and the uncontrollable fires of war. The schism of Mars is not a battle lines conflict. It is a riot. Imagine a city the size of a continent where every building is a weapon factory and every citizen is a soldier. Now imagine half of them suddenly deciding the other half must die. In the manufactorums of Mondus Gamma, loyalist tech priests are thrown into the smelting vats by their apprentices who have accepted the scrapgood's truth. In the data temples of Epluvian Maximal, Lex mechanics are hunted down by Skittery, whose optic sensors now glow with the violet witchlight of the warp dot. You watch the titans of Legio Mortis, the Death's Heads, turn their guns on their cousins. The Legio Tempestus. It is the ultimate betrayal. These god machines had walked together on 100 worlds during the Great Crusade. They shared repair bays. Their princeps drank a Mosek together. Now the warlord titan Aquila Ignis, corrupted by Horus's promises, levels its volcano cannons at the cockpit of a loyalist reaver. The void shields collapse. The cockpit vaporizes. The loyalist titan topples, crushing a district of Hab blocks beneath its megaton weight. The impact sends a mushroom cloud of dust and pulverized concrete into the stratosphere, joining the smoke of 1,000 other pyres. But the true tragedy of the schism is not the loss of life. Life on Mars has always been cheap. It is the loss of knowledge. You focus your gaze on the Magma City, the domain of adept Coriel Zeth. She is a figure of controversy, a believer in the imperial truth of science rather than the superstition of the machine god. She sought to build the Akashic Reader, a device capable of tapping into the warp to access the sum total of all knowledge, a mechanical psyker of infinite capability. KELB or Hell fears this. He fears the truth it might reveal. And so, he sends the traitor legions to burn it. You see the assault. It is a wave of corrupted steel. Traitor Skittery, their limbs replaced with jagged blades and weeping flesh metal interfaces, surge up the causeways. They are supported by Caban machines and demon engines, nightmares of brass and bone that should not exist. Zeth defends her city with the desperation of a mother protecting a child. She unleashes the Magma City's geothermal taps. She vents the pressure of the planet's mantle directly into the attacker's ranks. You watch as a river of molten rock, white-hot and unstoppable, consumes a regiment of traitor tanks. The heat is so intense that even at this distance, your optical filters dim to protect your retinas. But it is not enough. The numbers are against her. The scrapcut has disabled her automated defenses. Rather than let her knowledge fall into the hands of the traitors, Zeth makes the ultimate decision. You watch as she overloads the Magma City's main reactor. It is not a malfunction. It is a suicide note written in nuclear fire. The explosion is blinding. A dome of plasma expands, vaporizing the city, the Akashic Reader, the traitors, and the loyalists alike. In a single second, the accumulated wisdom of a genius is erased from history. Across the planet, this scene repeats. Libraries containing STC fragments from the Dark Age are firebombed with phosphex, a horrific, living chemical fire that burns underwater and cannot be extinguished. It eats through rock, through steel, through data crystal. You see the blue flames crawling over the shelves of the Librarium Technologies. 10,000 years of human innovation, recovered painfully during the Great Crusade, turns to green ash. Imperial records are fragmented here, and the exact casualty counts are impossible to calculate. Some inquisitors claim that more knowledge was lost in the death of innocents than has been recovered in the 10,000 years since. They call it the Great Lobotomy of the Mechanicum. You traverse the wastes to Mondus Oculum, the forge of fabricator Locum Zagrus Cain. He is the leader of the resistance, a loyalist who refuses to bow to Kelberhel. His forge is a fortress of defiance, but he is surrounded. The orbital defense platforms, controlled by the traitors, are raining kinetic bombardment rods onto his void shields. The hammer blows are relentless. Crack, crack, crack. The shields are failing. Cain realizes that Mars is lost. The traitor forces the Dark Mechanicum control the high ground, the orbital shipyards, and the vast majority of the Titan legions. To stay is to die. To stay is to let the Emperor's army starve without weapons. You witness the evacuation. It is a Dunkirk of the 31st millennium. Cain rallies the surviving loyalist forges. They strip their manufacturums of everything portable: data cores, prototype weapons, gene seed stocks. They load them onto heavy lifters, under constant fire from traitor fighters. The atmosphere is one of bitter, choking defeat. These tech priests are leaving their homes, their temples, the sacred soil of the Red Planet. They are abandoning the Omnissiah's cradle to the heretics. As the last loyalist ships lift off, punching through the blockade with desperate ferocity, you look back at the planet. Mars is no longer the red jewel. It is a hellscape. The atmosphere is choked with so much soot that the sun is blotted out. The surface is a patchwork of glowing lava flows, burning cities, and the radioactive craters of nuclear detonations. The death of innocence is complete. The Mechanicum is broken in two. The Dark Mechanicum now rules Mars, turning its endless industry to the production of demon-possessed war engines for Horus. The Adeptus Mechanicus, the Loyalists, are now exiles, refugees fleeing to Terra to beg the Emperor for aid. You stand on the deck of Cain's flagship, watching his optical sensors whir as he stares back at his burning home. He does not weep. He calculates. He logs the treachery. He marks the data stamps of every traitor. And he swears a binary oath that resonates through the noosphere of his fleet. 01010101001001. 100,000. 010101010001. 01000101. 001. 0100110000. 0000. 0101 0010001 00101 00101 001010101. 1,010,010. 1,001,110. We shall return. But deep down, in the logic gates of his mind, he knows the truth. The Mars that will be reclaimed will never be the Mars that was lost. The innocence of the quest for knowledge is gone, replaced by the dogma of war. From this day forward, every machine will be built with suspicion. Every line of code will be checked for heresy. The open hand of science has closed into the mailed fist of the cult. The blockade closes. The iron ring around the planet tightens. The silence falls, broken only by the laughter of the scrapka demons dancing in the ruins of reason. From the red ruin of Mars, we travel through the void, past the blockade runners and the burning wrecks of the solar war, to the golden depths of Terra. But we do not go to the walls of the palace, where Rogel Dorn is marshalling the defenses against the coming War Master. We go deeper. We descend past the Senatorum Imperialis, past the private sanctums of the Custodes, down into the Imperial dungeon. Here, beneath the crushing weight of the Himalayan mountains, A war is being fought that makes the conflicts of the surface look like petty skirmishes. This is the war in the webway. And while the Custodes and the Sisters of Silence are the sword and the shield of this conflict, the Adeptus Mechanicus is the mortar trying to hold the crumbling wall together. You stand on the precipice of the impossible city, Kalistar. The air here does not smell of ozone or incense. It smells of ozone and wrongness. The geometry is non-Euclidean. Bridges twist into spirals that lead nowhere. Staircases descend into skies of swirling nebulae. This is the webway, the ancient labyrinth of the Eldar. A dimension between the material universe and the warp. The Emperor sought to claim it, to free humanity from the reliance on warp travel. But the dream is broken. Magnus the Red, in his arrogance, has shattered the psychic wards protecting the Terran Gate. The ocean of the warp has flooded in. Demons infinite, hungry, and unending are pouring through the breach, seeking to reach the golden throne and consume the heart of the throne world. You watch the Mechanicum's contribution to this secret war. They are the unifiers, the Ordo Reductor, and the specialized work gangs of the Fabricator Locum. Their task is Sisyphean. They must repair the walls of reality while they are being eaten. You see a maniple of Thalax cyborg shock troops encased in heavy Lorica Thalax armor, standing on a bridge of Wraithbone. They are not fighting for territory. They are fighting for time. They unleash streams of lightning from their lightning guns, vaporizing waves of bloodletters. Behind them, tech priests are desperately welding adamantium, plates over fractures in the webway walls. It is a contest of engineering against entropy. The tech priests use Geller fields in miniature, projecting bubbles of reality to push back the raw stuff of the warp. But the demons ignore physics. They claw at the fields until the generators overload. You watch a tech priest scream not because he is dying, but because the logic of his existence is being violated. A demon of Tzeentch turns his Omni-Axe into a snake that bites him. His mechadendrites turn into glass and shatter. But the Mechanicum has brought its own monsters to the dark. From the misty expanse of the webway's tunnels, a horn blasts. It is not the mechanical war horn of the Legio Mortis you heard on the Crusade. This sound is a psychic scream that bypasses the ears and resonates directly in the fear center of the brain. A warlord titan strides into view. But this is no ordinary god machine. Its armor is painted a deep, slate gray, etched with sigils that hurt the eyes to look upon. It is a Psi-Titan of the Ordo Sinister. This is the darkest secret of the Alliance. Between the Emperor and Mars, these machines are not driven by a standard princeps and a reactor. They are powered by the focused misery of bound psychers. Let us examine the Siricrux. Anima. This is the technical heart of the Psi-Titan. A technology so forbidden that only the Emperor and a handful of Archmagi know of its existence. You look past the armor plating into the cockpit. There is no amniotic tank. Instead, there are caskets sarcophagi containing alpha-level psychers, lobotomized and bound in chains of anti-psychic dampeners. They are batteries. The princeps of the Ordo Sinister is a pariah, a blank, a soulless being who is immune to the warp. He directs the flow of the psycher's agony. He focuses it through the Sinistra Manus Tenebrae, the left hand of darkness. A weapon mounted on the Titan's arm. You watch the firing sequence. The Psi-Titan raises its left arm. The psychers in the caskets scream, their life force drained in a microsecond. The cannon fires. It does not shoot plasma or shells. It shoots a vortex of absolute nothingness. It shoots fear. The beam strikes a greater demon, a keeper of secrets that is dancing through the Custodes lines. The demon does not explode. It simply ceases to exist. It is unmade. Its essence is erased from the warp itself. The demons around it recoil, sensing a predator that eats souls. For a moment, the tide turns. The logic of the Mechanicum, twisted into a weapon of psychic horror, holds the line. but the attrition is unsustainable. You witness the war of the architects. While the Titans fight, the Magos are trying to understand the Eldar technology of the webway to seal the breach. They are plugging their data spikes into the Wraithbone, trying to interface Imperial binary with Xenopsychoplastics. It is a clash of incompatible operating systems. The webway is organic fluid, responding to emotion. The Mechanicum code is rigid, binary, logical. You see a Magos finally make a connection, his eyes widening as he glimpses the infinite map of the galaxy's secret tunnels. For a second, he sees the Emperor's vision, a humanity free from the warp, traveling instantly across the stars. Then, a demon of Nurgle vomits a torrent of rusted scrapcut onto him. The connection rots. The Magos dissolves into a puddle of corroded biomechanical sludge. The map is lost. The retreat is sounded. The Emperor, seated upon the golden throne, can no longer hold the gate open and the demons back simultaneously. The order is given to fall back to the Eternity Gate, the final portal between the webway and the Imperial dungeon. You watch the evacuation of Kalistar. It is a fighting withdrawal of heartbreaking cost. The Legio Ignatum, the Fire Wasps, form the rearguard. They are loyalist Titans who have sworn to defend the throne. They stand their ground against an infinite tide. They fire until their magazines are empty, until their reactors go critical. Then, they detonate. They turn themselves into nuclear suns to buy the retreating forces a few more seconds. The Mechanicum forces are the last to leave. They are stripping the sensors, the data cores, the precious archaeotech they brought with them. They cannot bear to leave data behind. You see a skittery ranger dragging a wounded tech priest, not out of sentiment, but because the priest's cortex contains the firing algorithms for the Psi Titan. They cross the bridge to the Eternity Gate. The doors, massive slabs of auramite and adamantium, begin to close. The Emperor, his psychic presence blazing like a dying star, holds back the 4 Chaos Gods just long enough. The seal is engaged. The webway is shut. You stand in the silence of the Imperial dungeon. The screaming of the demons is cut off, replaced by the heavy, thrumming hum of the Golden Throne. The dream is dead. The Emperor's great project, the reason for the secrecy, the reason for the hasty return to Terra, has failed. The tech priests present look at the Golden Throne with new eyes. Before, it was a portal. Now it is a life support system. It is the most complex machine in existence, a device that requires the sacrifice of souls to function. It is the ultimate expression of the Mechanicum's darkest fears, a machine that consumes life to maintain a status quo. Imperial records are fragmented here, but it is whispered that the fabricator General Kane, upon seeing the closed gate, realized the true cost of the heresy. The Mechanicum is now trapped. They are bound to a dying god who sits upon a failing machine. The age of innovation ended in the webway. The age of maintenance has begun. They turn their backs on the gate. They begin the work of fortifying the palace for the siege that is to come. But they leave a part of their soul behind in the impossible city, buried under the heaps of demonic corpses and the wreckage of the Psi Titans. They have looked into the abyss, and they have seen that even logic can bleed. The fires of the heresy have burned themselves out. The siege of Terra is broken. The War Master is dead, his soul obliterated by the Emperor, and his traitor legions have fled into the Eye of Terror like roaches scattering from the light. But the victory is hollow. You stand now in the gray, ash-choked dawn of the 32nd millennium. The galaxy is no longer a realm of conquest. It is a realm of survival. We witness now the formatting, the great and tragic reorganization of the Red Planet's soul. During the Great Crusade, the Mechanicum was a sovereign empire, an ally of Terra bound by treaty. But the schism of Mars proved that sovereignty bred treason. The fabric of the alliance had been torn, and to stitch it back together, the High Lords of Terra demanded a tighter weave. The Mechanicum ceases to exist. In its place rises the Adeptus Mechanicus. It is a subtle change in nomenclature, but a tectonic shift in power. You are no longer an ally. You are an adept. You are a department of the Imperial government. The Fabricator General is granted a permanent seat among the High Lords, not as a visiting dignitary, but as a subordinate minister. You stand in the ruins of a Martian data archive. The reclamation fleets have retaken the planet from the Dark Mechanicum, but the cost is visible in the geography of the room. The walls are scorched. The data stacks are melted slag. But the tech priests here are not trying to repair the servers to their original state. They are walling them up. This is the birth of dogma. The logic of the priesthood has shifted. They look at the horrors of the heresy, the scrapgood, the demon engines, the AI rebellions, and they draw a single terrifying conclusion. Innovation caused this. It was the desire to create new things, to improve upon the designs of the ancients. That opened the door to the warp, therefore, to prevent another fall. Innovation must be declared a sin. You watch as Imagos Juris oversees the rewriting of the universal laws. He holds a quill made from the feather of a cyber eagle, dipping it into pot of vellum ink. He inscribes the fourth universal law onto a scroll of heavy parchment. The intellect is not a vessel to be filled, but a firewall to be maintained. And the eighth law, the alien mechanism, is a perversion of the true path, and the most damning of all. The unspoken rule that will define the next 10,000 years. It is better to maintain a broken machine than to build a new one without a template. You see the physical manifestation of this shift. A young adept finds a schematic for a plasma pistol. It is a slightly modified design, one that improves the cooling cycle by 4%. In the old days, this would have been celebrated. Now the adept trembles. He looks at the non-standard curvature of the cooling coils. He fears it is a trap. He fears that by changing the design, he might insult the machine spirit, or worse, inadvertently create a variance that allows a demon to enter. He burns the schematic. He returns to the standard pattern. He chooses safety over progress. This is the tragedy of the formatting. The Adeptus Mechanicus turns from a guild of engineers into a cult of archaeologists. The ultimate goal is no longer to invent, but to recover. You accompany an excavation team into the deep crust of a dead world. They are hunting for the holy grail of the cult, the STK, the standard template construct. Let us examine this artifact. In the dark age of technology, the STC was an advanced AI system, a database that contained the sum total of human scientific knowledge, capable of designing anything from a water purifier to a starship based on locally available materials. It was the ultimate survival tool. Now, in M32, the C usually refers to a fragment, a printout, a hard copy blueprint. You watch as the excavation team breaks through a blast door. Inside, they find a single crumbling sheet of plastic paper. It details the tension specifications for the tread links of a lemon rust battle tank. To you, it is a spare part diagram. To them, it is a page from the Bible. The Magos falls to his knees. He weeps oil. He orders the area sanctified with incense. This fragment is proof that the ancients knew best. If they specified this tension, then that is the holy tension. To tighten the tread further is heresy. To loosen it is apostasy. Imperial records are fragmented regarding the Great Purge of the Martian archives that followed. Some scholars of the Ordo Machinum suggest that the loyalist tech priests deliberately destroyed their own research labs, fearing that their own creations were tainted by the scrapgood that had ravaged the planet. They lobotomized their own collective memory to cut out the cancer. What remains is the ritual. You stand in a manufactorum on a forge world. You watch the assembly of a lasgun. It is not a manufacturing process. It is a religious ceremony. The worker does not just insert the power pack. He anoints the contact points with sacred oil while reciting the litany of connection. Spirits of the circuit, accept this charge. Flow with the motive force. Strike true. Why do they do this? Is it superstition? Or is it a grim necessity? Consider the machine spirit. In a universe where belief shapes reality, and where the warp touches everything, machines do develop personalities. A bolter that has killed 1,000 orcs becomes eager to fire. A land raider that has survived a dozen battles becomes stubborn, refusing to die. The rituals act as a soothing mechanism. The chanting, the incense, the rhythmic striking of the runes, it creates a psychic resonance of order. It calms the machine spirit. It reinforces the barriers of reality. When a tech priest strikes a malfunctioning engine with a hammer, the rite of percussive maintenance, he is not just hitting it. He is asserting his dominance over the spirit within, commanding it to obey. And without the understanding of why the engine works, the ritual is the only control they have left. You walk through the Hall of Vectors on Mars. It is a library of silence. Thousands of servitors, their lips sewn shut, file data slates into infinite shelves. The air is cold and smells of dust. There are no debates here. No symposiums on physics. There's only the quiet scratching of autoquills copying ancient texts. The formatting is complete. The wild, dangerous, brilliant genius of humanity has been placed in a stasis field. The Adeptus Mechanicus has become the custodian of a museum that is slowly burning down. They will maintain the lights. They will fix the exhibits. But they will never again paint a new masterpiece. You look into the eyes of a fabricator locum. They are glowing red lenses, devoid of emotion. He is safe, he is pure, he is orthodox, and he is utterly tragically blind to the fact that by refusing to move forward, he is slowly sliding back into the dark. The age of the tech priest has truly begun, and with it, the slow, grinding decline of the Imperium's technology. From the dusty archives of history, we turn our gaze inward, to the very vessel of the human soul. You are standing in the sterile, white-tiled observation gallery of a biologist's apothecarium on a forge world. The air here is aggressively clean, smelling of heavy antiseptic, ozone, and the faint, coppery scent of cauterized meat. Below you, on a surgical slab, lies an initiate. He is young, perhaps 20 Terran years, terrified and ecstatic in equal measure. He is about to take his first step onto the path of knowledge. He is about to shed the weakness of his birth. We speak now of the cruel biology of the tech priest, and the central dogma that drives their existence. The flesh is weak. To the uninitiated, this phrase sounds like a battle cry. But to the Adeptus Mechanicus, it is a scientific observation. Flesh acts as a prison for the intellect. Flesh requires sleep, wasting 1/3 of a life in unconsciousness. Flesh feels pain, which distracts from data input. Flesh ages, degrading the storage capacity of the brain. Flesh rots. To serve the machine god, one must become the machine. You watch as the chirurgeon servitors with monomolecular saws for hands descend. The initiate does not scream. He has been chanting the litany of the Iron Soul for 3 days. He views his own arm, which is currently being removed at the shoulder, not as a loss, but as the discarding of a broken tool. In its place, a socket of gleaming plasteel is grafted to the bone. Nerve endings are spliced into fiber optic cables. When he wakes, he will not feel the phantom itch of a missing limb. He will feel the cold, precise weight of a hydraulic claw. He will be able to crush a rock or thread a needle with equal precision. He has traded the trembling of muscle for the certainty of the piston. This is the crux mechanicus. It is the point of no return. It is the moment where the biological percentage of the body drops below 50%. It is the threshold between human and adept. As you walk through the hierarchy of the priesthood, you see the escalation of this philosophy. First, you encounter the engine seer. The workhorse of the Imperial Guard, he still retains a humanoid shape. He has legs, though they are reinforced with bracing struts to carry heavy loads. He has a face, though his eyes have been replaced with photovisor's glowing red lenses that allow him to see radiation leaks and thermal stress fractures. He still eats, though his digestive tract has been simplified to process nutrient paste, removing the inefficiency of taste and the distraction of hunger. But as you ascend the ranks to the Magos, the human form is abandoned entirely. You stand before a Magos Logis, a master of data analysis. He floats a few inches off the deck, supported by an anti-grav suspension field, for he has no legs. Why would he need them? Walking is an inefficient mode of transport. His lower body is a trailing mass of cables and mechadendrites. Let us examine the mechadendrite. These are not just extra arms. They are specialized sensory organs. You see a data spike tendril, tipped with a universal interface jack, twitching like a serpent's tongue, tasting the air for Wi-Fi signals. You see an optical tendril, a prehensile eye on a stalk that allows him to look at a data slate behind his back. You see a manipulator claw, holding a quill with delicate grace. The Magos does not speak with a mouth. His jaw was removed centuries ago to make room for a voxcaster and a linguistic processing unit. He speaks in Benharic cant, a burst of static that transmits information 1,000 times faster than High Gothic. When he communicates with his peers, they do not exchange sentences. They exchange zip files of concepts, but the most profound change is not the limbs. It is the mind. You witness the rite of pure thought. This is a controversial and irreversible procedure reserved for the highest ranks. The Magos surgeons open the skull. They locate the right hemisphere of the brain, the seat of emotion, intuition, and creativity, and they replace it with a cogitator bank. The tragedy of this is absolute, yet invisible to the recipient. You look into the lenses of a Magos who has undergone this rite. He cannot feel fear. He cannot feel love. He cannot feel the stirrings of hope or the crush of despair. He is a creature of pure logic. If you were to ask him to save a burning orphanage, he would not run in because of heroism. He would calculate the probability of survival, the value of the genetic stock inside, and the cost of his own potential destruction. If the math does not work, he walks away. He has not lost his soul, he would argue. He has optimized it, yet there is a scholarly ambiguity here. The Liber biologist debates endlessly about the spark of life. At what point does a man become a machine? If you replace the heart, the lungs, the limbs, the eyes, the ears, and half the brain, is he still human? The Inquisition watches the Mechanicus closely for this very reason. The border between a heavily augmented tech priest and a silica animus, a forbidden artificial intelligence, is terrifyingly thin. The only difference, technically, is the presence of that small, shriveled lump of gray matter in the skull. As long as the biology remains the master controller, it is sanctioned. You move to the noosphere. This is the invisible realm where the tech priests truly live. You are granted a temporary neural link to perceive it. The world changes. The dull gray metal of the forge explodes into golden light. You see data streaming through the air like ribbons of fire. Every machine has a halo, a digital aura that displays its temperature, its ammunition count, its prayer status. You look at a fellow tech priest and you do not see his robes. You see his rank, his clearance codes, and his current task list floating above his head. That it is a world of absolute clarity. There are no secrets in the noosphere, only clearance levels. It is a digital heaven overlaying the grim reality of the physical world. To a tech priest, disconnecting from the noosphere to view the world with meat eyes feels like going blind. Finally, you encounter the Archmagos. This being is ancient, perhaps 1,000 years old. He has cheated death by simply replacing the parts that fail. His organic components are now minuscule perhaps. Just a few neurons and a strip of spinal cord kept alive in a jar of amniotic fluid, buried deep inside a chassis the size of a tank. He has multiple bodies. You watch as he transfers his consciousness from a heavy, dominus war body, bristling with volkite blasters, into a delicate logis body designed for research. He changes bodies like a man changes clothes. Does he remember what it was to be a child? Does he remember the taste of water? No. Those memories were deleted to free up storage space for starship schematics. This is the cruel biology of the priesthood. It is a self-inflicted horror. They mutilate themselves in the pursuit of perfection. They strip away the very things that make life worth living: sensation, emotion, connection, in exchange for the ability to serve a silent god. You watch an adept applying sacred oil to his own knee joint. He does it with a tenderness he would never show a human being. He loves the steel. He loathes the flesh. As you leave the apothecarium, you pass a mirror. You look at your own hand, at the skin, the veins, the fragile bones. To you, it is a hand. To them, it is a malfunction waiting to happen. You realize that the Adeptus Mechanicus does not want to rule the galaxy. They want to survive it. And they have decided that the only way to survive a universe of war is to become weapons themselves. They are the hollow men, filled with lightning and data, marching endlessly towards a perfection they can never reach, leaving their humanity behind in the surgical waste bins of Mars. We descend now from the high towers of the Magos to the crushing depths of the industrial floor. We leave the realm of those who choose to become machines and enter the realm of those who are forced into the cog. You stand on the gantry of a munition-loading bay. The noise is deafening, a relentless rhythmic thudding of presses and the screech of metal on metal. Below you, a sea of gray flesh and rusted iron moves with the synchronized apathy of the dead. We speak now of the Servitor. If the tech priest is the mind of the Mechanicus, the Servitor is the hand. But it is a hand that has been severed, stripped of feeling, and reattached to a piston. The Imperium runs on the back of the Servitor. They pilot the shuttles. They aim the macro cannons. They sweep the floors. They open the doors. In a galaxy where artificial intelligence, the silica animus, is punishable by death, the human brain remains the cheapest and most efficient processor available. You watch a monotask heavy lifter trudging past. It was once a man. Perhaps he was a criminal who stole a loaf of corpse starch. Perhaps he was a heretic who spoke out against the ecclesiarchy. Or perhaps he was simply a vat-grown clone, created in a tube for this singular purpose. It does not matter now. His legs have been amputated at the hips, replaced by a tracked chassis that rattles over the grating. His right arm is gone, swapped for a hydraulic cargo clamp. But it is the face that haunts you. The skin is pallid, waxy, and scarred by surgical staples. The eyes are gone, covered by a brass visor glowing with a dull green targeting reticle. The mouth is slack, often drooling, or sewn shut to prevent the distraction of speech. He does not know he is in pain. He does not know he is tired. He does not know his name. Let us examine the cortical slate. This is the technical instrument of his damnation. You can see it grafted to the back of his skull, a flat black box pulsing with data cables that burrow directly into the frontal lobe. This device intercepts the brain's higher functions. It creates a lobotomic barrier. It suppresses memory, personality, ambition, and fear, leaving only the processing power required to interpret commands. The programming is brutally simple. If crate is present, lift crate. If crate is absent, wait. This loop will run until the biological components rot or the mechanical components fuse. The tragedy of the Servitor is the sheer scale of the industry. You are standing in a facility that processes recidivists, the imperial term for criminals. You see the assembly line. It is a slaughterhouse of the soul. Men and women are strapped to tables. An autosurgeon descends. It does not use anesthetic. Why waste resources on cargo? The skull is drilled. The brain is exposed. The emotion centers are cauterized with a laser scalpel. The cortical slate is hammered into place. The Lex Imperialis dictates that this is a mercy. It is a way for the sinner to redeem themselves through service. Servitude in perpetuas. Eternal service. Even in death, their skulls may be harvested to become servo skulls, floating assistants that continue the work. But there are different grades of horror here. You move to the weapons testing range. Here, you encounter the Cataphron Battle Servitor. If the industrial servitor is a tragedy, the Cataphron is a nightmare. These are not made from starved criminals. They are often made from failed aspirants, or vat-grown giants bulked up on growth hormones. The Cataphron is a tank made of meat. It is larger than an ogrin. Its torso is a mass of armor plating and exposed muscle. Its arm is a heavy arc rifle or a torsion cannon. It rolls on heavy treads, crushing the bones of the fallen. But unlike the mono task lifter, the Cataphron requires aggression. The tech priests leave a sliver of the lizard brain intact, the primal center of rage and violence. They shackle it with doctrine wafers, chips inserted into the brain that direct this rage at specific targets. You watch a Cataphron breacher activate. It roars a sound that is half human scream, half engine rev. It does not fight with tactics. It fights with a mindless fury, advancing into enemy fire, absorbing damage that would kill a space marine. Also, it can deliver its payload. It is a disposable shock trooper, a biological bullet. Yet, amidst this industrial cruelty, there lies a deep and unsettling scholarly ambiguity. The tech priests claim the servitor is dead. They claim the person is gone, replaced by the program. But are they? There are stories whispered in the lower decks of the void ships. Stories of servitors that pause in their work, staring at a picture of a saint on the wall with weeping eyes. Stories of battle servitors that hesitate before firing on a child. Stories of ghost data, fragments of memory that leak through the cortical slate. During sleep cycles, you stand next to a scribe servitor, a withered figure fused to a desk, its handwriting endlessly in a ledger. Its vocal cords were removed to ensure silence. But as you listen closely, you hear a sound coming from the speaker grill welded to its throat. It is a low, static hiss. Ho-home. It is a glitch, the tech priest would say. A misfiring neuron, a residual echo of a deleted file. But you feel a chill run down your spine. What if the soul is not so easily excised? What if the man is still in there, trapped behind the firewall of his own mind, screaming in a room with no doors, forced to watch his body work for eternity? This is the phantom soul theory, a heresy that is ruthlessly suppressed by the Inquisition. To admit that servitors might still be sentient would be to admit that the Imperium is built on a foundation of eternal torture. It would shatter the moral justification of the entire system. So the lie is maintained. The servitor is a machine. It feels nothing. You watch a maintenance crew repairing a damaged servitor. Its arm has been torn off by a heavy gear. The tech priest does not comfort it. He welds a patch over the bleeding stump and checks the diagnostics. Unit 734 Delta. Operational efficiency at 82%. Return to station. The servitor pivots on its treads. Compliance, it drones. The voice synthesized and flat. It rolls back to the line, trailing a few drops of blood on the deck. The reliance on servitors creates a strange atmosphere in the Imperium. It is a society where the furniture has eyes. You walk down a hallway where the door is opened by a human head embedded in the frame. You ride an elevator where the buttons are pressed into a panel of skin. You are never truly alone. The dead are watching you, serving you, waiting for you to join them. For in the end, the servitor is the ultimate fate of the failure. The tech priest who seeks to become a machine ascends to power. The citizen who fails to serve the machine becomes a part of it. It is the binary choice of the 41st millennium, rule the mechanism, or become the spare part. You leave the manufacturing floor, the rhythmic thudding fading behind you. But the image of the monotask lifter remains the blank visor, the sewn mouth, the mindless repetition of a task that has no meaning. It is the silent tragedy that underpins the grandeur of the God Emperor's realm, a tragedy written in scar tissue and code. We leave the mindless drudgery of the loading bays and step onto the irradiated dunes of a war zone. The air here is not just toxic, it is weaponized. It hisses with the invisible sleet of beta decay and gamma rays. You are standing in the midst of the Legiones Sciteri, the holy foot soldiers of the machine god. Unlike the Servitor, who is a slave to the program, the Scitarius is a slave to the data. They are the holy warriors, the tech guard, and they are dying by the thousands so that a single hard drive might be recovered. You watch them advance through the mist. They do not march with the thunderous drilled precision of the Astra Militarum, nor with the superhuman velocity of the Astartes. They move with a twitchy, unnatural synchronization, like a puppet show where the strings are made of fiber optic cables. They wear the heavy, rust-red robes of Mars, or the white of Metallica, the black of Styges 8, hoods pulled low over faceless rebrother masks. Let us examine the Sciteri vanguard. You see a phalanx of them holding a ridge. They are known as the Rad Troopers. Their armor is lined with heavy lead plating, but it is not to protect them from the enemy. It is to protect them from their own weapons. You look closely at the radium carbine clutched in a vanguard's bionic hands. This is a weapon of horrific design. The magazine does not contain standard propellant shells. It contains bullets that have been shaved from blocks of pure, unstable radioactive isotopes, often hyperdense radium-226 or polonium-. When the carbine fires, it bathes the target in a storm of ionizing radiation. You watch an enemy, a traitor guardsman, get hit. The kinetic impact is negligible. It barely dents his flak armor. But seconds later, he falls. He begins to vomit blood. His skin blisters and sloughs off. His organs liquefy. He has been given a lethal dose of radiation in the blink of an eye. The battlefield around the vanguard is a kill zone, not just of ballistics, but of invisible death. But the cost is paid by the wielder. You look through the lenses of the vanguard. His gums are bleeding. His teeth are falling out. His hair fell out years ago. Despite his protective gear, the radiation of his own gun is slowly cooking him alive. He knows this. He does not care. He is a martyr in slow motion. His life is measured not in years, but in rounds fired. But the physical war is only half the battle. You are witnessing the New Sphere War. To understand the Sciteri, you must understand that they are not independent soldiers. They are nodes in a network. Hovering above the battlefield, perhaps in an orbiting cruiser or a command transport, sits a tech priest Dominus. He views the war not through binoculars, but through a cascade of streaming data. He does not give orders like a general, take that hill. He uploads Doctrina imperatives. You feel the shift in the air as a new imperative is downloaded. It is the Protector Doctrina. Instantly, every Scitarius on the field stops moving. Their optical sensors lock into a fixed focus. Their heart rates slow to a crawl to reduce weapon sway. Their aim becomes preternaturally perfect. They become turrets. A volley of fire-ups, cutting down the enemy charge with mathematical efficiency. Then the data stream shifts. The Conqueror Doctrina is uploaded. The Sciteri suddenly abandon cover. Their adrenal glands flood their systems with combat stims. They charge, their movement speed increasing by 20%, their aggression limiters disabled. They throw themselves into melee with taser goads and power swords. Heedless of survival. You watch an Alpha, the squad leader, receive a data burst. A massive Onager Duna crawler, a crab-like tank walking on 4 mechanical legs, strides past him. The Alpha does not speak to the tank's crew. He simply pings the Duna crawler with a target solution calculated by his own optic augers. The Duna crawler's neutron laser swivels and fires, vaporizing a bunker 3 kilometers away. The communication was instantaneous, silent, and purely digital. This is the terror of the skittery. They are a hive mind of ballistics. They share target data, ammunition counts, and sensor sweeps in real time. If one Skitaria sees you, the entire legion sees you. But what of the men beneath the masks? You stand next to a skittery ranger. He wields a galvanic rifle, a long-barreled precision weapon that fires distinct, electro-charged bullets. He is a hunter. His legs have been replaced with the Iron Strider modification, bionic calves, that allow him to march for weeks without tiring. He stands perfectly still, waiting for a target. In the silence of his helmet, he is not alone. He hears the static of the tech priest. He sees the holy data scrolling across his retina. Kill count, 42. Efficiency, 94%. Prayer to the motive force, active. There's a scholarly ambiguity regarding the free will of the skittery. The Mechanicus claims they are volunteers, holy warriors who have given their bodies to the Omnissiah. They claim the skittery retain their personalities, their souls. But you look closer. You see the data tether sparking on the Ranger's backpack. When the Dominus assumes direct control, the Ranger's individuality is suppressed. He becomes a puppet. Does he feel fear when he is ordered to march into a minefield to clear a path for a Titan? Or does the control chip simply delete the concept of fear from his mind? Some inquisitors whisper that the skittery are little better than high-functioning servitors. They suggest that the volunteer is a lie, and that the legions are filled with conscripts from the manufactorum floors, who were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. The battle rages on. You see the horrific Sicarian infiltrators. These are skittery who were blown apart in previous wars, their remains salvaged and rebuilt into tall, lanky killers. Their legs are replaced with stilt-like prosthetics. Their faces are dome-shaped sensors that emit a neurostatic aura. You watch them sprint across the battlefield. The enemy soldiers clutch their heads, screaming as the neurostatic aura overloads their brains with white noise and terrifying visions. The infiltrators descend, their taser goads crackling, harvesting the disorganized prey. It is psychological warfare weaponized into a broadcast signal. The objective is achieved. The enemy, perhaps an orc war band or a rogue human enclave, is annihilated. The silence returns to the dunes. The Doctrina Imperative ends. The skittery relax. The combat stims flush from their systems, leaving them shaking and exhausted. The Vanguard coughs, a wet, rattling sound inside his helmet. He checks his radiation counter. He has perhaps 3 months of life left before his internal organs fail completely. He does not weep. He does not complain. He simply kneels and initiates the Benharic cant of maintenance. He cleans his weapon. He checks his power cells. He prepares for the next upload. The tech priest Dominus in the sky looks down at his chessboard. He sees the casualty rates, 43% loss of units. To an Imperial Guard commander, this would be a Pyrrhic victory. To the tech priest, it is an acceptable variable. The data was recovered. The STC fragment is secure. The flesh has served its purpose. You watch the skittery march away, a long line of red robes disappearing into the radioactive dust storm. They are the data ghosts of Mars, the soldiers who fight not for land or flag, but for the sanctity of the hard drive. And as long as the Omnissiah requires data, they will continue to march into the fire, their bodies breaking so that the machine may live forever. We leave the radioactive thunder of the skittery battle lines and ascend, rising past the atmosphere, past the orbital docks, into the deepest, coldest black. You are no longer within the safety of the Segmentum Solar. You are not even within the civilized bounds of the Ultima Segmentum. You are drifting on the razor's edge of the galactic map, in the haunted region known as the Halo Stars. Here, the light of the Astronomicon, the psychic beacon of the Emperor that guides all ships through the warp, is not a blazing star. It is a flickering candle in a hurricane. You are standing on the bridge of an Arch Mechanicus, the Omnissiah's victory. To call this a ship is a failure of language. It is a floating continent. It is a forge world given engines. The Omnissiah's victory is vast enough to have its own weather systems in the upper vaulted ceilings of its cargo bays. It houses a population of 3 million souls, tech priests, menials, servitors, and skittery, most of whom will be born, live, and die without ever seeing the sky of a planet. The air on the bridge is supercooled and smells of recycled ozone and the heavy, sweet incense of void sage burn to calm the machine spirits of the navigation cogitators. The silence here is profound. There is no roar of atmosphere, only the subsonic thrum of the plasma drives, a vibration that hums in the marrow of your bones. This is the Explorator fleet. This is the quest for knowledge in its purest, most dangerous form, while the rest of the Imperium fights to hold what it has. The Explorators fight to recover what was lost. They are the scavengers of the Golden Age. They plunge into the unknown, hunting for the faint. Electronic echoes of the STC, the standard template construct. You watch the Magos Explorator, Archmagos Valix, standing at the strategy table. He is a terrifying silhouette of mechadendrites and robes. He has not slept in 2 centuries. He has replaced his sleep centers with memory banks to store star charts. He stares at the hololith, which displays a sector of space that Imperial charts label simply as Hixunt Draconsa. Here be dragons. He is searching for a signal, a specific frequency used by the colony ships of the Dark Age of technology. Auger sweep complete. Alex mechanic drones. Anomaly detected in the spectrographic bands. Sector 77 Delta. A faint energy signature. Pre-Imperial. The bridge tenses. The lethargy of the void vanishes. This is the moment they live for. The massive ship begins to turn, its attitude thrusters firing bursts of gas the size of city blocks. You arrive at the coordinates. Floating in the void is not a planet, but a space hulk. It is a twisted agglomeration of wrecked ships, asteroids, and ice, fused together by the tides of the warp. It is a graveyard of vessels. You see the jagged prow of an Orc kill cruiser welded to the elegant, bone-white hull of an Eldar Corsair ship. But buried deep in the center, crushed beneath megatons of debris, is the distinct, geometric hull of a human colony vessel from the 15th Millennium. The order is given. Boarding parties prepare. You descend to the launch bays. You join a team of skittery and tech priests boarding a Cestus assault ram. The ride is silent, save for the magnetic clamps releasing. You traverse the void and slam into the side of the Space Hulk. Melta-charges blow the airlock. You step inside. The air is frozen, a vacuum that instantly sucks the heat from your environmental suit. Your magnetic boots clamp to the deck with a heavy clank. This is a tomb. The corridors are lined with the frozen, mummified corpses of the original crew. They died 5,000 years ago, perhaps from a hull breach, perhaps from a Geller field failure. Floating in zero gravity, their faces are frozen in masks of eternal screaming. But the tech priests do not look at the bodies. They look at the walls. They look at the junction boxes. They look at the light fixtures. Note the circuitry, one adept whispers, scanning a conduit with his data spike. Molecular bonding. Wiring efficiency at 100%. This is archaeotech. They move deeper, towards the ship's data core. The danger here is not just the environment. Space hulks are often infested. You see the claw marks of Genestealers on the bulkheads. You see the crude graffiti of orcs, but the explorators press on, driven by a hunger that outweighs self-preservation. They reach the central cogitator bank of the ancient colony ship. It is a massive machine, untouched by the rust and decay of the 41st millennium. It is sleek, clean, beautiful. The Magos connects his interface. This is the rite of extraction. It is a delicate digital surgery. The Magos must bypass the ancient firewalls without triggering the data purge protocols. He speaks to the machine spirit in a dialect of binary that hasn't been spoken in 10,000 years. He coaxes it. He pleads with it. Open your mind, Ancient One. Share your wisdom. The screen flickers to life. Green text scrolls rapidly. The Magos freezes. His optical sensors widen. He has found it. Not a weapon. Not a starship design. It is an STC fragment for a standardized agri-combine harvester, efficient at processing nitrogen-rich algae. To you, this might seem disappointing. To the Magos, it is a revelation. This design, if disseminated to the agri-worlds of the Imperium, could increase food production by 300%. It could save billions of lives from starvation. It is a holy relic of the highest order. He downloads the data to his internal drive. Praise the Omnissiah, he whispers. But then, the sensors trip. Movement in the shadows. The Hulk is waking up. The heat of the boarding party has attracted the attention of the current residents. From the ventilation shafts, the ruddy emerge. These are Zevengers, creatures of rags and shadow whose very presence causes the temporal field around them to accelerate. You watch as a Scutarius vanguard ages 50 years in a second, his armor rusting to dust, his bones turning to powder simply because a Rudd walked past him. Retreat. The Magos commands. The data is secured. The withdrawal is a chaotic scramble through the dark. Bolters flash in the strobe light of the emergency lumens. The Rudd are hard to kill. They are made of slime and time distortion. You see a tech priest fall, his body withering into a husk as the entropy field washes over him. He throws his data slate to his comrade before he dies. The mission comes first. The data must survive. You burst back into the airlock of the assault ram. The clamps engage. The engines flare. You launch away from the Hulk, just as the Arc Mechanicus opens fire with its lance batteries, obliterating the infection to ensure the Rudd do not follow. Back on the bridge of the Omnissiah's victory, the mood is one of solemn triumph. The casualties are logged. The dead are commended to the motive force, but the SDC fragment is safe. However, there is a scholarly ambiguity that haunts these fleets. In the deep archives of the ship, you find logs of previous expeditions. You see references to the Halo device's strange, alien artifacts found in these stars that grant immortality but slowly mutate the user into a cannibalistic monster. You see redacted files about the Gaul stars, where reality itself is thin and things from outside the galaxy scratch at the walls. Some within the Inquisition whisper that the explorer fleets go too far. They claim that in their hunger for knowledge, the tech priests are waking things that should have stayed asleep. They point to the pale wasting of M34, a disaster unleashed by explorers that nearly consumed the Segmentum, but the Magos does not care. He looks at the star map. The little candle of the Astronomicon is so faint now, barely a speck. Ahead lies only the cold, uncaring dark of the intergalactic void. Set course for the next system, he orders. The Arc Mechanicus turns its prow back to the darkness. The engines hum their lullaby of power. The ship moves on, a lonely island of iron and faith, sailing into an ocean of night that has no end. They are the explorators. They will find the truth, or they will die in the dark. There is no middle ground. From the lonely void of the Halo stars, we return to the very heart of the Imperium's dilemma. We fast forward through the millennia, past the War of the Beast, past the Age of Apostasy, to the darkest hour of the 41st millennium. The Cicatrix Maledictum has ripped the galaxy in half. Cadia has fallen. The Imperium is on its knees, but in this moment of despair, a figure emerges from the shadows of history. He is not just a tech priest. He is a monstrosity of innovation, a heretic in the eyes of many, and the savior in the eyes of others. That we speak of Belisarius Cawl. You stand in the Archmagos's personal laboratory aboard his flagship, the Tsar Quesitor. This is not a standard Mechanicus facility. It is a blasphemy of clutter. Ancient cryo-tanks from the Dark Age sit next to captured Necron pylons. Eldar soul stones are wired into Imperial cogitators. It is the workshop of a madman who has forgotten the word impossible. Cawl himself dominates the room. He is enormous, a centaur-like amalgamation of metal, standing twice the height of a space marine. He has so many limbs, so many servo-skulls buzzing around him, that he looks like a mechanical swarm given consciousness. But the most terrifying thing about Cawl is his mind. He is not one person. Over 10,000 years, he has absorbed the memory banks, the personalities, and the souls of hundreds of other scientists. He is a choir of geniuses singing in discord. He argues with himself in binary. One part of his brain, the Cawl inferior, simulates his personality so perfectly that he can have conversations with himself. Across light years, he is working on the Ultima founding for 10,000 years. The Adeptus Mechanicus has followed the dogma: do not innovate, do not improve. But Cawl was given a direct order by Reboot Guilliman, the Primarch, just after the heresy: fix my brother's work, make them better. Cawl took that order and ran with it for 10 millennia. You look into the stasis tanks lining the walls. Inside are giants. They are space marines, but bigger, stronger. Their bones are denser. Their muscles are more efficient. These are the Primaris Astartes. Let us examine the technical heresy here. The Emperor created the Space Marines using 19 specialized organs, the gene seed. It was a perfect design. To tamper with it is to tamper with the work of God. Cawl didn't just tamper. He added 3 new organs. The Magnificat, a gland that stimulates growth and hormone production, making the Primaris taller and stronger than the firstborn. The Belisarian Furnace, a combat drug gland that triggers under extreme stress, flooding the system with a cocktail of stimulants and rapid healers that can bring a Marine back from the brink of death. The sinew coils, durametallic cables threaded through the muscles, granting superhuman strength and durability. The conservative factions of Mars scream tech heresy. They call Cawl a Frankenstein who is polluting the holy gene stock. They demand his execution, but they cannot execute him, because the galaxy is burning, and Cawl's monsters are the only ones winning the war. You watch as the first Primaris Marines are awakened. They do not stumble. They do not question. They are indoctrinated with hypnotherapy, so advanced it was written by Cawl himself. They are ready for war, but Cawl's innovation does not stop at biology. He has reinvented the bolter. You see the Mark II Cawl pattern bolt rifle. It has longer range, better armor penetration, and a more stable machine spirit than the ancient Godwin pattern. He has invented the repulsor tank, a grav tank that floats over the battlefield, finally replicating the lost technology of the Custodes grav vehicles. This is the crawling innovation. It is slow, methodical, and disguised as rediscovery to appease the zealots. Cawl claims he found these designs in the archives. He lies. Everyone knows he lies. But the weapons work, so the fabricator general stays silent. However, there's a deeper, darker secret here. You follow Cawl deep into the bowels of his ship, to a secured vault. Inside is a device that pulses with a cold, green light. It is a Necron pylon fragment. Cawl is obsessed with the Blackstone. This is the substance the Necrons use to manipulate reality. It can amplify the warp, or it can silence it. The Cadian pylons were made of Blackstone, and they held the Eye of Terror shut for 10,000 years. Cawl believes he can reverse engineer this. He calls it the Great Work, He wants to build a network of pylons across the galaxy to close the Great Rift. He wants to sew reality back together. But to do this, he needs to understand Xenos technology better than the Xenos themselves. You watch him interface with a Necron construct. It is a canoptic spider, a maintenance drone. Most tech priests would destroy it on sight. Cawl plugs a data spike directly into its cortex. He speaks to it in its own language, a dialect of mathematical light. "Show me the lattice," he commands. The drone obeys. It projects a hologram of the galaxy's magnetic fields. This is the ultimate scholarly ambiguity of the modern Mechanicus. Is Cawl the savior of the Imperium, the only man brave enough to use the tools necessary to win? Or is he the next Kelberhal? Is his arrogance paving the way for a new schism? He has an AI stored in his ship, the Cawl Inferior. It claims to be a pre-recorded simulation, but it learns. It adapts. It suggests strategies. It is, for all intents and purposes, a silica animus. Cawl keeps it because he needs someone intelligent to talk to. You see the tension when Guilliman returns. The Primarch looks at Cawl with a mix of gratitude and horror. He sees a being who has obeyed the letter of his orders, but violated the spirit of the Imperium's laws. Guilliman refuses to make Cawl the Fabricator General of Mars, fearing that it would cause a civil war within the Mechanicus. Cawl does not care about titles. He cares about results. He stands on the bridge of the Zarquesitor, looking at the Great Rift, the cicatrix maledictum that splits the sky. It is a bleeding wound in the universe. They pray to the Emperor to fix it. Cawl mutters, his voice a chorus of mechanical rasps. They light candles. They burn incense. Fools, you cannot pray a hole in reality shut. You must stitch it. He turns back to his work. His mechadendrites whir, manipulating a dozen hololiths at once. He's designing a new weapon, a new organ, a new machine. He is the last true scientist in a galaxy of priests, and he is tired. His memory banks are full. He has to delete memories of his own past to make room for new data. He has forgotten who he was before he became Cawl. He has forgotten the names of his friends, his lovers, his parents. He is a ship of Theseus replaced part by part until only the mission remains. The Primaris march to war. The repulsors float over the mud. The galaxy fights on, fueled by the genius of a heretic. And in the dark, Belisarius Cawl keeps working, knowing that if he stops, even for a second, the light of humanity will go out forever. And so we arrive at the precipice of the present day, where the timeline bleeds into the now. We stand on the edge of the Nephilim sector, a region of space that has gone terrifyingly quiet. This is the Pariah Nexus. For 10,000 years, the Adeptus Mechanicus has feared the warp, the chaos, the scrapgood, the demons. But here, they face the opposite horror. They face the stilling. You are standing on the surface of a mining world within the Nexus. The air is still. There is no wind. The native fauna sits motionless in the fields, staring blankly at the horizon until they starve. The human colonists are slumped against the walls of their hab blocks, their eyes open but empty. They have simply lost the will to live. They have forgotten to eat. They have forgotten to breathe. This is the weapon of the Necrons. The ancient enemy has returned in force. The silent king, Sharek, has returned from the void between galaxies, and he has brought with him a plan to silence the warp forever. He has erected massive pylons of blackstone noctilith that project a field of absolute, anti-psychic nullification to the average human. This field severs the connection between the soul and the warp, leaving them as husks. But to the tech priest, the effect is complicated. You watch a Magos excavator traversing the silent streets. He is unaffected by the stilling. His emotional centers were removed centuries ago. His motivation is not driven by biological dopamine, but by programmed imperatives. He looks at the catatonic colonists and sees only inefficiency. Biomass distinct. Productivity zero. Reassigning resources. The Mechanicus has descended upon the Pariah Nexus not to save the people, but to plunder the stone. They see the black stone not as a cage for the soul, but as the ultimate raw material. They want to mine it, refine it, and use it to shield their forge. Worlds from chaos. But the Necrons do not share. You witness the clash of the two great machine empires. It is a war of mirrors. On one side, the Adeptus Mechanicus, a cult of cyborgs who worship the machine and seek to shed their flesh. On the other side, the Necrons, a race who were tricked into shedding their flesh eons ago and have become the perfect soulless machines the tech priests aspire to be. It is a conflict of jealousy and hate. You stand on a ridge, overlooking a black stone quarry. The Skittery advance. They fire arc rifles, weapons that unleash lightning to fry the circuits of the enemy. The Necron warriors advance in phalanxes of silver living metal. They fire Gauss flares, weapons that strip the target's atoms layer by layer. You watch a Skitarius vanguard get hit. He does not explode. He simply unravels. His armor, his flesh, his bionics, they peel away like dust in the wind, leaving nothing behind. The Necrons are terrifying because they refuse to stay dead. A Necron warrior is blasted apart by a heavy bolter. You watch the wreckage. The living metal flows like mercury. The limbs reattach. The skull reforms. The lights in the eyes flicker back on. It stands up. It resumes firing. To the tech priest, this is blasphemy. A machine should require maintenance. It should require prayer. The Necron reanimation protocols violate the sanctity of the motive force. It is technology so advanced, it looks like magic, and the Mechanicum hates it because they cannot replicate it. Yet, they try. You see a tech priest Dominus capturing a damaged canoptic wraith. He does not destroy it. He clamps it in stasis fields. He drags it back to his shuttle. He wants to know how it works. He wants to steal the secret of immortality that doesn't require the constant replacement of parts. This is the great work in its darkest form. The Mechanicus is fighting a war against a superior technological foe, and their strategy is to eat the enemy to gain their power. You enter the tomb complex of Xeraxos. The fighting here is subterranean and brutal. The walls are made of blackstone, humming with a frequency that causes your teeth to ache. The Necron Overlord, a being of regal gold and emerald light, swings a war scythe that cuts through the void shields of a Castellan robot. As if they were smoke, the Magos leading the expedition unleashes his secret weapon. He does not pray. He does not chant. He activates a device recovered from the vaults of Mars and Archaeotech Vindicare. It is a weapon from the Dark Age, a localized gravity gun that crushes the Overlord into a dense sphere of metal. For a moment, the Mechanicus triumphs. They secure the chamber. They set up their mining drills. The sound of diamond-tipped drills biting into the blackstone rings out, the sound of the Imperium's greed overcoming its fear. But as you stand there, watching the black stone being loaded onto the conveyors, you realize the ultimate irony of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They have spent 10,000 years fleeing their humanity. They have cut away their hearts, their lungs, their capacity for feeling. They have chased the ideal of the cold, logical, perfect machine. And now, staring at the Necrons, they see the end of that road. The Necrons are the end state. They are immortal. They are powerful. They are emotionless. And they are utterly, horrifically empty. They are a species that lost its soul to gain the stars. The tech priest looks at the Necron corpse and sees his own future. And for the first time in millennia, in the deep recesses of his cogitator banks, he feels a ghost of an emotion he thought he had deleted long ago. He feels horror, but the drill must turn. The quota must be met. The Omnicia demands data. The Magos suppresses the emotion subroutine. He purges the cache. He turns back to the mine. Continue extraction, he orders. The flesh is weak. The war goes on. The fleets of Mars spread out across the galaxy, a red tide of rust and lightning. They are the keepers of the flame, the holders of the truth, the blind watchmakers of a universe that is slowly winding down. They will fight until the last cog stops turning, until the last star goes cold, forever chasing the ghost of a golden age they can never reclaim. The data spools are winding down now. The hum of the noosphere fades into a gentle static. You have walked the iron dust of Mars. You have stood beneath the shadow of the warlord Titan. You have witnessed the tragedy of the Servitor and the cold fury of the Skittery. You have seen the lengths to which humanity will go to survive the dying of the light, but that is all behind you now. The war is distant. The forges are far away. Here, in the archive, there is only silence. Imagine yourself drifting in the deep void, far beyond the reach of the Astronomicon. The stars here are not burning suns of war. They are distant, diamond points of light, steady and calm. There is no scrapgood here. There is no radiation. There is only the infinite velvet peace of the dark. Let the tension drain from your limbs. Let the weight of the armor fall away. You are no longer a soldier. You are no longer a servant. You are a soul, floating in the quiet embrace of the Emperor's peace. He watches over you. Even in the silence of the Pariah Nexus, even in the darkness of the halo stars, his light is there. It is a beacon that does not burn. It warms. It tells you that your duty is done for the day. It tells you that you have earned your rest. The machine spirit of your mind needs to cycle down. The thoughts that race like data streams must be paused. Let the blackness of sleep wash over you, cleansing the horrors of the 41st millennium. The archive will remain. The lore will wait. The guardians of the Watch Fortress, the silent tech priests, the angels of death, they are all standing guard so that you may close your eyes. Sleep now, loyal citizen. The galaxy turns. The machine hums. The Emperor protects.